You know what time it is. Good afternoon, West Ham fans. Another week has been done. Are West Ham desperate for a striker this winter transfer window? Let's chat about it. Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. If you're new, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody good subscribe. So we're already mid-November. So, this time in about a month and a bit, it's Christmas. And then after Christmas, it's January in the January transfer window. And according to Claret and Hugh and a couple of other news outlets, the Hammers are desperate to sign a winter striker. The only fly in the ointment is we apparently haven't got the funds to buy a striker. So we'll need to basically come from the sale of fringe players. Now, we've got plenty, I think we've got quite a bit in the tank in terms of fringe players potentially. The issue being is when you look at things like, in terms of the not sellable assets, but, those who are less of a priority in the setup. Obviously, we know that well, basically, it's demonstrated that we know, which we know already, that Danny Ings was a relative flop. £15 million last winter. And it shows there's a desperate urgency to find a front man, and we know that for the last couple of months. In all honesty, it's nothing new. I think the whole scenario is, it is exacerbated, good word for a Friday, with the whole Divine and Barmer situation, or Divin and Barmer, Divin and Barmer, still refusing to sign the deal. And if he does sign the deal, the chances are he's going to go out on loan anyway in January. That's then exasperated again, twice I've used that word in conversation, by the AFCONs as well. So the likes of Kudus, and others, Ben Rama. I'm thinking more of the attacking players. Obviously, we know Gerd will be there, and Cornet potentially as well. So it does seem that a top striker is needed. But as I said, the cupboards are bare. We have spent apparently our entire transfer budget for the season in the summer. Apparently so. However, I said, we could raise some cash. If you're looking at, if we look at, for example, where is it? If we look at some of the players we've got, so these are the expiring. Oh, sorry, that's horrible. Let's go full screen. There we go. These are the expiring contracts, and I've put the Thomas Souček and Antonio, because we know they've signed new deals, but the club hasn't actually officially announced them. But we're led to believe that they have both signed long-term deals. So we know the likes of Aaron Cresswell, Ben Johnson, Fornals. Ben Johnson, 60 grand a week is people want. Fabianski, Bono, Coventry. Soufal's got a year option on his deal. We'll talk about that later on the Ham's headlines in terms of potential replacements. Jason Vanang, and we've got Divin as well. But, and on top of that, I mean, the likes of, someone like a Ben Johnson, for example, he's going to get minimal value in terms of what he can provide, because his contract runs out runs out, same as Aaron Cresswell. You're going to get a minimal fee, really, in all honesty. £1 million if you're lucky, maybe. Fornals, you might get a little bit more to sell him in January, rather than necessarily waiting until the summer and him going for nothing. Ogbonna, you're not going to sell him. No one's going to buy Ogbonna. Connor Coventry, potentially, but again, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't even been out on loan or anything recently. I think there's a few other fringe players you can look at. I think the likes of someone like Cornet, for example. There's a report on one of the news sites. Where is it? I had it the other day. He's got a muted January exit potentially, and could be a financially massive loss, because he paid £17.5 million for him the summer before last. I think if you get 10 million back, I think you've done well, to be honest. But we'll see about him. But he'll also be in the AFCONs as well, potentially. So similarly, you've got maybe Flynn Downs potentially. Obviously he's playing well in on loan at the moment for Southampton, but would you sacrifice him? I don't know. Obviously you got Fornals, Ben Rama potentially, but again, the trouble with Ben Rama is he's going to be at the AFCONs as well. So what do you do? But that's it. Apparently, we are desperate for a striker, and one of the names we have been linked with is the former Chelsea flop, Timo Werner. Timo Werner. Yep, according to a few different sources, mainly emanating from 90 minutes, West Ham are monitoring Timo Werner, who has apparently been told he is free to leave RB Leipzig. It said yesterday that Germany is free to leave his current club, and apparently several clubs are looking at him, such as us, Fulham and Crystal Palace, to look to bring back the former Chelsea player to the Premier League. I mean, the fact is, before he signed for Chelsea, he was prolific, absolutely prolific, scoring. Anyone who's a FIFA fan is absolutely rapid, and so for think about on paper, a front three of him, Bowen and Kudus, he's a very, very tantalising, very mobile front three with a lot of pace there as well. So, he's 27. He scored 28 goals in 34 Bundesliga games the season Chelsea bought him. They bought him for around £48 million back in 2020. He scored 23 goals in 89 appearances, I think a couple against us, unsurprisingly. And then they sold him back to Leipzig for about £17.5 million. They made about £30 million loss on him. Last season, he found the net 9 times in 27 league appearances. This year, he's only scored 2 in 13, but Leipzig have bought a couple of strikers in. Benjamin Sesko, who we were linked with they bought him from Salzburg, I think it was, and Luis Openda from Lens, who again we were linked with as well in the summer. So, he's not getting a lot of game time. I think if we could get him on loan, obviously, that would probably help desperation because you wouldn't have to spend so much money. And obviously, looking at us compared to the likes of Fulham, Palace, are probably the more attractive proposition. And apparently, we've ruled nothing out at the moment about Timo Werner making a return to the Premier League back to London. I think also bringing in someone like a recognised striker, and then allowing Jared, because I think Jared is more useful on the right-hand side. We know that also Chris Hughton, the Ghanaian international manager and former West Ham player as well, he did an interview the other day talking about the progress of Kudus and saying he prefers him as a 10 or a wide right. So, he could potentially, have a bit more game time in terms of moving into the 10 role potentially, and having sort of a fluid 3 maybe. I don't know. Basically he's, Werner at the moment is part of a team and has a lot of competition. And, by all accounts, it's going through a difficult phase, according to, what's his name? Ruven Schröder, the RB Leipzig sporting director. And he suggested that he's willing to part ways with Werner if an attractive offer comes in January. So we'll wait and see. But it's just one of a long line list of players we've been linked with. Obviously, Marcos Leonardo from Santos. We've been linked to Sergio Gresa. We've been linked with Boniface. Loads of players. But I think the thing is, we've gone down this situation before so many times where we've bought a stopgap. If we don't buy Werner, we got him on loan. Would I be happy with that? Yes, I think I would be happy with that. If it means that we can also further down, that means that we can send out Divin to the Championship side and get to Watford or whatever, get half a season under his belt and come back. Would I want to buy Werner? No, I wouldn't want to. Would I want to loan him with a obligation to buy if he scored 10 goals or whatever? At least there's an incentive, but I still wouldn't really want to buy him. But I don't know. I don't know, but we ain't got no money, so we've got to sell some. So if you want to buy a player, we've got to sell some, unless we look at the loan market. Of course, Tim Steinton would know about Werner from his time in the Bundesliga. Obviously, he was at RB Leipzig before Chelsea, when obviously he was at, and Steinton was at Werder Bremen, and then I was obviously at Bayer Leverkusen. Don't know. I don't know how I feel, but we're going to be linked with everyone and their mums, aren't we? To be honest, in the next few weeks. And as I said, Hammer's headline today, we'll be linked to a few more, particularly right backs. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about. Well, there's a few things. Question one: Who would you be happy to sell? Realistically, what would we get for them? And question two: If we got Timo Werner on loan, would you be happy with that? That'll do. 2 questions. So take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Have a great Friday. We're back for Hammer's Headlines in a couple of hours' time. Take care, stay safe, stay warm. Irons.